Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the University of North Carolina at Asheville. I'm Bill Roper, and I'm privileged to serve as the interim president of the UNC system. Today is a day of much excitement, and it's an honor and a great personal privilege to preside over the installation of a truly great leader in higher education and a deeply passionate individual, Dr. Nancy J. Cable. As the 8th Chancellor of this great university, she is carrying on the legacy of an institution that has a rich history in Asheville and the region. It's an institution that has produced some of North Carolina's and the nation's finest educators, business leaders, and thought leaders. As we begin today's ceremony, please remain standing as Dr. Eboo Patel, founder and president of Interfaith Youth Corps, provides this afternoon's invocation. Following that invocation, the UNC Asheville University Chorale and the UNC Asheville Singers with the UNCA Percussion Ensemble will give a musical presentation.
In the creation story in Islam, we are taught that God creates humankind by picking up a lump of clay and giving it his breath, and thereby creates Adam, the first human being, the ancestor of us all. God gives Adam a particular responsibility. He is to be Abd and Khalifa, servant and representative, the steward of God's diverse creation. God gives Adam a particular gift, the ability to tell the true names of creation's diversity. It is a gift that God does not give to the angels, who only have the gift to sing the glory of God's own name. It sounds to me like God had in mind the creation of a university dedicated to the liberal arts. What else do we do at an institution like this but pursue truth in its manifold diversity? What else do we do in an institution like this but pursue discovery so that we can come up with the correct names of things? What else do we do but try to be good stewards, truly servants and representatives? I think that this is a special moment because the liberal arts are principally about what it means to nurture the whole of people's selves for the whole of their lives, for the sake of the whole of the world. This is an institution dedicated to that, and it now has a leader also dedicated to that mission. I will close with this thought. All prayer has two basic themes: thank you and help. So let us say thank you for this great institution, for the opportunity to continue a tradition like the liberal arts, to be able to focus on nurturing the whole of the selves of young people, for the whole of their lives, for the good of the whole world, and help. Help us as a community, help this new chancellor, Nancy Cable, achieve the aspiration of this institution's mission and of the tradition of the liberal arts. Thank you.
Running, coming to the running, coming to the running.
Thank you. Please be seated. Today's ceremony is a time for reflection, for celebration, and anticipation. We've gathered as a university family to celebrate UNC Asheville's proud history and acknowledge the critical and growing role it plays in this region and statewide. We celebrate with Chancellor Cable and with the larger UNC Asheville community the new beginning that this ceremony heralds. Dr. Cable is the right person to lead UNC Asheville today and in the years ahead. She stands firmly for academic excellence and student success. She's absolutely passionate about improving lives and communities through higher education. Just after 8 months, she has already demonstrated this vision, commitment, and energy that this institution will need as it continues its pursuit of excellence. UNC Asheville, you're in very good hands. I now have the distinct honor of introducing Mr. Kennan Briggs, Chair of the UNC Asheville Board of Trustees, to bring greetings from that board.
Well, good afternoon. Thank you all. Thank you, President Roper, for the introduction. On behalf of the UNC Asheville Board of Trustees, it is my great pleasure and my privilege to bring greetings today as we celebrate the installation of Chancellor Nancy J. Cable. Before I begin, I would like to take a moment and recognize the many special guests who have joined us for this occasion. We're certainly delighted that members of Chancellor Cable's family are present here today to share this special day. In particular, I want to recognize her daughter, Gretchen Cable Wells, her brother, Davis J. Cable, and his wife, Libby Cable, and her good friend, John Wells. Welcome. There are also obviously other notable guests with us today whom I also would like to recognize. Many members of governing bodies that support and lend to this great public institution tremendous support, and they are here joining us. I'm going to call them and ask them to stand, and I would ask that you please hold your applause until we have recognized them all. So when I call you, please stand and be recognized. Will all federal, state, and local elected officials or representatives from their office please stand? Will all members of the UNC Board of Governors please stand? Will former UNC Asheville chancellors, as well as current and former members of my colleagues, the UNC Asheville Board of Trustees, please stand? I also want to recognize the many individuals that volunteered their time, their treasure, their gifts, and many other things with this university by serving as members of the UNC Asheville Foundation, the Bulldog Athletic Association, the UNC Asheville Alumni Board of Directors, and the National Parents Council. If you currently serve or are serving or have served in the past on one of these boards, please stand. Wow. Oh, there's hope. There's more. Will chancellors and representatives from our sister institutions in the University of North Carolina system please stand? Will presidents and representatives from other institutions of higher education throughout North Carolina, throughout the United States and abroad, as well as delegates from learned societies, fellow educators, and other individuals representing professional and service organizations, please stand. I would also like to thank those who have joined us today to share the gift of music, which you've just enjoyed. Choir Director Chuck Taft, UNC Asheville Percussion Ensemble Director Matthew Richmond, members of the UNC Asheville University Chorale, Asheville singers, and other performers, including the brass quintet and bagpipe player. Will you all please stand and be recognized? Thank you all for being with us today. Let's give each other a round of applause. I once heard if there's anyone that has not been recognized to please stand. We're happy to do that now. I would also like to acknowledge that many community leaders, teachers, UNC board members, Board of Governor members, and members of other trustee boards across the state couldn't attend today's ceremony, but they have offered and sent forward in support and encouragement to this great event. Now, before I continue with the program, co-chair of the Board of Trustees, Rick Lutovsky, and I had the privilege of chairing the search committee that brought to this great public liberal arts institution Nancy J. Cable. Chancellor, it is your leadership that is so apparent and already present in this great community and in this great institution. You're supported by a number of individuals gathered here today and groups who serve as partners for and advocates with you for this great institution on behalf of the university. They include state government executives, community leaders, university administrators, colleagues, students, faculty, and staff. Also, alumni are present today. You know, Chancellor, I knew from the moment that I met you that I was seeing the future of UNC Asheville. Rick and I talked about that many hours. Nancy Cable is caring, brilliant, tirelessly energetic, fiercely devoted to the public liberal arts and sciences education that stands at the very core of this institution's mission as chartered by the Board of Governors. Over the past 8 months, it's been my distinct pleasure at times to work with her and witness firsthand her dedication. The first 8 months have been anything but easy at times for Chancellor Cable, we would acknowledge, but she has displayed grace and strength and leadership in every instance she's been faced with thus far. Most of all, she's dedicated to the faculty, staff, and students of this institution. We have witnessed that. I've also been impressed with her commitment to Asheville, the Asheville, Buncombe, and greater community, and throughout Western North Carolina. She has a genuine interest in building relationships with people and institutions, and I think that when you meet her, if you have not, that will become apparent immediately. It's true that UNC Asheville has a strong leader in Chancellor Cable, but it has a caring leader as well. And I know that she will continue to lead this great institution forward in a way that improves the lives of all members of the community, not just the faculty, staff, and students of this great institution, but all members of the community. We're not only installing UNC Asheville's chancellor today, but Asheville's chancellor and the public liberal arts university chancellor of North Carolina, if you will. I can tell you we are in good hands. It's now my honor to welcome to other members of the platform party to bring you greetings on this, again, special day. First, Governor Pearl Burris Floyd will bring greetings on behalf of the Board of Governors of the University of North Carolina System. Governor Burris Floyd will be followed by Richard Sneed, Principal Chief of the Eastern Band of the Cherokee Indians, with whom we dedicated a special space yesterday in the Highsmith Student Union, and he'll be bringing greetings on behalf of the tribe. Principal Chief Sneed will be followed by Senator Terry Van Dyne, bringing greetings from the state of North Carolina and the North Carolina General Assembly. And then she will be followed by County Commissioner and former UNC Asheville Board Chair, Al Whitesides, who will bring greetings on behalf of Buncombe County. Finally, City of Asheville Mayor Esther Manheimer will bring greetings on behalf of the city. So now I would like to, pardon me, Mayor Manheimer will be followed by Frederick Lawrence, who will bring greetings on behalf of Phi Beta Kappa Society, the oldest and most prestigious honor society in the United States. Now, I'd like to welcome to the podium Governor Burris Floyd, please.
Good afternoon. It is indeed a pleasure and an honor to stand before this august body and to bring you greetings on behalf of the UNC Board of Governors. I'm honored to serve as the secretary to that board. And on behalf of our interim president and the chair of the board, Harry Smith, I'm the chosen one to come and speak to you today. It is a pleasure also to be among this proud community. And I'm reminded how good and how pleasant it is when we come together in unity. This is a unified community, and I am certainly proud to be here. The history of this community and this institution is rich, and it has a bright future ahead. Last June, when the Board of Governors convened to elect a new chancellor for UNC Asheville, we heard from then President Spellings. She spoke of Dr. Cable as being an exceptional blend of expertise, leadership, and grace at all levels of public higher education. In her strength and leadership, we saw a new vision for UNC Asheville emerge, and we continue to see that this academic year, Dr. Cable performed exceptionally well. I had the pleasure of serving on her interview team, and we instantly bonded as we shared smiles and as she told of her vision about what she wanted to do if she became chancellor. Now that if has turned into a when, and those of you who have gotten to know her understand why she was our number one choice. We have no doubt that the students, faculty, staff, and surrounding community will reach new heights under her leadership. This assembly of state, local, and national officials, alongside with representatives from the UNC system, is also happy to be a part of this presentation. You are not just in charge of a university, you're in charge of molding lives, blending communities, and doing the best that can be done in this season. Chancellor Cable, you are the queen, not just for today, but for as long as you desire to be here and to reign with success, with dignity, compassion, and love here in Asheville for this faculty, these students, this community, and this region. We thank you for accepting this challenge.
Shio Nagad, Tohigwatsu. I bid you greetings and welcome on behalf of the Eastern Band of Cherokee Indians. I was asked to speak today on the unique relationship that exists between the Eastern Band of Cherokee Indians and University of North Carolina at Asheville. I think it's important to express a little bit of history to really understand the relationship that we have. For centuries prior to European contact, tribal nations existed on these lands. They had complex systems of government, complex religious systems, complex social systems, and complex systems of trade. After contact, the struggle to maintain these systems became a daily ordeal for Native people. The response of the Cherokees to this struggle to maintain our traditions and our culture and our way of life is depicted in a sculpture that exists at our museum in Cherokee. The sculpture is three-sided, with each side displaying a relief of a Cherokee person. The figures represent our people's response to the encroachment and the oppression of our way of life. The first figure is a Cherokee warrior with his tomahawk raised, ready to destroy his enemy. Our ancestors fought, bled, and died to defend our way of life, but the Europeans kept coming. War was not the solution. The second figure is a Cherokee person slumped over and weeping, demonstrating the suffering and the removal that our people went through. We were broken, and yet we would endeavor to persevere, but suffering was not the solution. The third figure depicts a Cherokee man in European attire holding a book. Our ancestors learned that the way we would survive and remain as a people was through education and knowledge and wisdom. We would learn the ways of the white man and his government while simultaneously embracing our culture and our tradition and our ways. The relationship that the Eastern Band of Cherokee Indians has with the university is in keeping with the strong tradition of developing leaders through education. I'm very grateful to the university for demonstrating honor and respect for the Cherokee people through the Cherokee Studies program, and to Dr. Trey Adcock for creating a sense of tribal community here on campus for our enrolled member students. And to Chancellor Cable and to her staff for creating a gathering place, Toki Yasti, a room that honors the rich Cherokee history that exists in this region and on the land upon which the university is built. I'm confident that under the leadership of Chancellor Cable, the partnership between the university and the tribe will only continue to flourish and to grow to the benefit of our Cherokee students and to the university. Shki, Tohi, Tenada Gohayu. Thank you and peace until we meet again. Shki.
President Roper, Board of Governors, trustees, distinguished guests, students, faculty, and staff. I am Senator Terry Van Dyne, and it is my pleasure to bring greetings from the state of North Carolina. The North Carolina Constitution asserts the right to education for the people of the state of North Carolina. In fact, Article 9, Section 9 of the North Carolina State Constitution requires that the General Assembly provide, and I quote, that the benefits of the University of North Carolina and other public institutions of higher education, as far as practicable, be extended to the people of the state free of expense. One of the joys of public service is getting to work with the UNC system to uphold this constitutional right of the people to the university system. I am fortunate enough to have UNC Asheville as a distinguished gem in the crown of the UNC system. UNC Asheville is an asset to this city, it is an asset to this region, and it is an asset to our state, producing an economic impact of almost $500 million annually. This is a place of ideas and innovation, where you can enjoy a lecture from a national speaker or a lesson on the water jet at the STEAM studio. UNC Asheville holds a special place in my heart. I served on the university's foundation board of directors prior to my running for office. During my service on the board, I learned about the students and their amazing abilities. I now have the opportunity to work with some of these students in the community, and they are a real joy and a wealth of talent. Asheville is offering these students a cross-disciplinary education that prepares them for the jobs that we don't even know about yet. It is a great privilege for me to offer greetings and welcome to Nancy J. Cable. I've had the opportunity to spend some time with Chancellor Cable during her first 8 months here, and I know she will be a transformational leader for UNC Asheville. I look forward to our continued work together in service of the people of North Carolina. Congratulations on your installation as the 8th Chancellor of UNC Asheville.
President Roper, platform guests, students, faculty, guests, and friends, good afternoon. It is indeed an honor for me to bring greetings from the Buncombe County Commissioners and the 260,000 residents of Buncombe County. The University of North Carolina at Asheville is one of the most important entities in our county. The students, faculty, staff, and administrators all contribute to our quality of life that makes Asheville one of the most sought-out places to live and one of the top tourist destinations in our country. I had the pleasure of being a member of the search committee that recommended Nancy Cable be hired as our eighth chancellor. It was obvious to me early in our deliberations that Chancellor Cable has skills, expertise, and leadership style to build on the foundation of our previous chancellors and to carry the university to new heights. The University of North Carolina at Asheville and Buncombe County have had a successful partnership long before we were part of the university system. We have also benefited from the talents of many University of North Carolina at Asheville graduates as employees, commissioners, and volunteers on important county committees. Our newest county commissioner, Amanda Edwards, who was elected in November of 2018, is a proud UNC Asheville graduate, and we're proud to have her on our team. Dr. Cable, Buncombe County welcomes you as the 8th Chancellor of the university, and we look forward to giving you the support and expertise of all of our commissioners and our 1,500 county employees. Thank you, and we look forward to working with you.
Good afternoon. On behalf of the City of Asheville, I would like to congratulate Chancellor Cable and UNC Asheville on this special occasion. I bring greetings from the City of Asheville, as well as from our City Manager, Deborah Campbell, and our City Council, some of which are sitting here in the audience. Installations are a time of pomp and circumstance, which is a lot of fun. It is a time for a university community to come together and recognize new leadership. And it is also a time to voice a collective vision for the future. Thank you for inviting me to be a part of this exciting day for UNC Asheville and the City of Asheville. Universities play a vital role in building and shaping community. UNC Asheville strives to fulfill this role and, as a result, brings a richness to our city. For the Asheville community, this university serves as a facilitator of cultural enrichment and provides a forum for challenging conversations. At the same time, UNC Asheville successfully fosters innovation and entrepreneurship. And I would argue that, in fact, the two roles go hand in hand. The same people, students, and faculty that overflow with innovation, ingenuity, and creativity that will build the economy of tomorrow also demand that we continue to grow as a society by exploring concepts such as our own prejudices and inequitable institutions and traditional ways of doing things that might not best serve all people. Therefore, we, Asheville, Buncombe County, and Western North Carolina are fortunate to have this gem that is UNC Asheville here in the heart of Western North Carolina, always striving and pushing for more by creating better ways of learning, living, and growing. I am thrilled to officially welcome Chancellor Cable to Asheville and Buncombe County, Al. Her deep commitment to the university, its students, faculty, and staff, and to our community is already overwhelmingly apparent. Now, I want to tell you that a chancellor can change your life. A chancellor changed my life because former Chancellor Dave Brown, sitting right here in the front row, hired my dad in 1988, and so it's his fault that I'm here today. He changed my life. So I am excited for the future of UNC Asheville, and I look forward to Chancellor Cable's leadership, and I especially personally look forward to continuing to work with her. Thank you.
It is an enormous honor to bring greetings on behalf of colleges, universities, and learned societies, and most especially my own Phi Beta Kappa Society, 500,000 members worldwide, including 17 United States presidents, 41 Supreme Court justices, 140 or more Nobel laureates, and as of now, the Chancellor of UNC Asheville. We are delighted to have one of our own installed as Chancellor of this remarkable university. Now, it has almost become a cliche these days to say that it's never been harder to be a Chancellor or a President. But in truth, it's always been a challenge. There's a story told of a Chancellor of a hypothetical university who had nearly completed her first year when she got a phone call from the editor-in-chief of the student paper who said that the editor wanted to shadow the transfer for a day. Well, the chancellor said, this happens to be the day you picked as the one day of the entire year that I'm taking off. It's my first vacation day in a year. The student, as students will, says, that's the only day I can do it. So the chancellor said, okay, but that's what you're going to get. So they went out on the chancellor's day off, which included going fishing. And they're out in the middle of the lake. Chancellor opens her tackle box and says, I left my bait back on shore. So the student says, what do we do now? Chancellor puts her finger up, gets out of the boat, walks across the water, goes back, gets her bait, walks across the water, gets in the boat, and continues fishing. The next day, headline on the student paper, Chancellor can't swim. Get ready, Nancy. UNC Asheville is a groundbreaking university, as a public liberal arts university. Your strategic plan claims as an essential goal, as a major goal, to solidify the university's distinctive role as a, I'm quoting now, nationally recognized leader of the public liberal arts and a model of how graduates of a liberal arts institution have an impact on society. This is not an easy time for higher education generally, or the liberal arts in particular. It is a time of crisis of public trust, of public confidence, and questions as to the very relevance of the liberal arts. But you have had the good judgment to select a chancellor who understands that the essence of the liberal arts is to prepare us for a meaningful life, for a productive life, and for an engaged life. A meaningful life in the sense that when we ask the questions as we must, what does it mean to live a good life? What does it mean to build a good society? We don't ask those questions alone. We ask them in a context of millennia of others who have asked this question. So we are in dialogue with Plato and Aristotle, with Kant and with Mill. The great Harold Bloom said, we read imaginative fiction because we can't know enough other people. And so when we read fiction, we are finding our worlds open to us by the likes of Shakespeare and Milton, Herman Melville and Henry James, Emily Dickinson and George Eliot, Toni Morrison and James Baldwin. We are not alone when we ask the questions that we must. And so the liberal arts prepares us for a meaningful life. But the liberal arts also prepares us for a productive life. And let me be clear, when I say a productive life, I don't mean that in the abstract, I mean it in the very concrete. Jen Stroud-Rossman, who was the department head of mechanical engineering at Lafayette College, was once asked, what is the central element, the most important element for an engineer? And while you think that she must have said multivariable calculus or physics or space visualization or geometry, you know what she said? She said empathy. Empathy. She said, we build stuff. How will you know how to build it if you don't know who you're building it for? And so engineers need a liberal arts education. Or think about Facebook. Who amongst us thinks that the challenges facing Facebook today will be solved by more and better coders? They have wonderful coders, and perhaps more than they know what to do with. The challenges facing Facebook will be solved, if at all, by ethicists and philosophers, by social psychologists and sociologists, by political scientists and by historians. And it won't just make them a nicer company, it will make them a more productive company. And so the liberal arts prepares us for a productive life as well. But it also makes us prepared for a engaged life as citizens. Liberal arts graduates register to vote at a higher level and vote at a higher level, which is only one way of measuring engagement in society. But I note how many of your graduates from this institution have wound up in my hometown of Washington, D.C., and were the anchors of the extraordinary fall networking trip that you had for undergraduates going to Washington. And so the experience here prepares for not only a meaningful life, but a productive life and an engaged life. The work ahead is great for Nancy, for all of you here today, indeed for our entire society. You know, it's said of the great Eleanor Roosevelt, who joyfully wrote about her time here in Asheville, that it is better to light one candle than to sit and curse the darkness. You all have brought a great candle lighter to this campus. Together, may you all bring a great light to the world. God bless you all.
Thank you all very much. Thank you. And now, Choir Director Chuck Taft from the UNC Asheville Music Department will direct the choir in a musical interlude. So let's enjoy that music, please.
What could
not inspired by that, you can't be inspired. That was beautiful. Thank you very much. Very much. It's now my privilege to welcome to the podium 4 members of the platform party who will bring greetings and remarks from people who make up UNC Asheville and make it such a wonderful institution of higher education. The students, faculty, staff, and alumni, of course. First, Mr. Michael Davis, decorated president of the UNC Asheville Student Government Association and student trustee who joins us on the board in our work, who will speak on behalf of the UNC Asheville student body. Mr. Davis will be followed by Dr. Michael Stratton, chair of the UNC Asheville Faculty Senate, who was on the search committee that helped bring Chancellor Cable here and provided great leadership on behalf of the faculty along with his colleagues. Dr. Stratton will be followed by Ms. Kenya Smith-Edwards, chair-elect of the UNC Asheville Alumni Board of Directors, who will speak on behalf of alumni. I'm proud to say one of our children is an alum of UNC Asheville. Ms. Smith-Edwards will be followed by Mr. Brian Hart, chair of UNC Asheville Staff Council, who will speak on behalf of the staff. Mr. Davis, please.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the installation of the Dr. Nancy J. Cable. I bring you greetings on behalf of the student body here at UNC Asheville. On this afternoon, as I reflect on the 9 months of my time knowing Dr. Cable, my eyes and heart is filled with much joy and appreciation. Coming into this position, system, city, and university, not 100% sure what she was getting herself into, she was ready to take on the challenge. She rolled up her sleeves in her stunning blazer and began to work. Facing situations on fire safety, housing, hurricanes, floods, and university and community relationships, she has handled everything with grace and class. To be the first of many student body presidents to see her behind the scenes and in the public view, one thing I can say is she's never wavered on her morals, values, and vision. She has for our great university. As I take my seat, I would like to leave just a few words of wisdom to you, Dr. Cable. The first thing is, know you are supported and appreciated by our board of trustees, students, and faculty and staff here at the university. Always remember the work that you are doing is never in vain. Allow your vision, your love, and compassion to be your drive. When it is your drive, you will not burn out easily. As I finish my term in the capacity as your first student body president here at UNC Asheville, know that all the future student body presidents, all they would like to know is your vision and how they can support you to better our wonderful institution. Know that I am grateful to have worked with you as a student body president, trustee, foundation member, Order of Pisgah member, and also as an aide in your office. I cannot wait to see where you take our wonderful institution and how you will advance it. I celebrate you and I welcome you and your family to the Bulldog family. Thank you so much.
Greetings and good afternoon from the faculty. I'm Michael Stratton, chair of the Faculty Senate, and it is with tremendous honor that I stand before you to express our deepest appreciation for this opportunity to join in a celebration of UNC Asheville and in the installation of our 8th Chancellor, Dr. Nancy J. Cable. Reflecting on the countless hours collaborating with Chancellor Cable this past year, I'm reminded of other truly gifted leaders who built, transformed, and healed their respective communities while demonstrating the same tenacity, integrity, grace, and boldness that is core to our new chancellor's character. Consider Eleanor Roosevelt, who was not alone in her work to advocate for the civil and human rights of women, African Americans, and laborers. She invited a number of trusted advisors to help her more strategically navigate the terrain and to acquire an accurate sense of her allies' and adversaries' respective agendas. Successful organizations and movements largely depend on leaders with humility and a desire to develop trust, to demonstrate vulnerability, and to create opportunities to share in the work. From the start, Chancellor Cable has built bridges with our faculty, listened to our concerns, empowered us to engage in shared decision-making, and opened her door to many sitting alongside you today. This is not hyperbole, it is truth. The truth of so many who have sought her counsel, offered her advice, and participated in highly complex and sensitive decisions. Her leadership is authentic. Chancellor Cable has invited us to share in the ownership of our university. The establishment of a university-wide budget committee, the formation of a relationship between faculty leaders and her senior staff, the introduction of common ground sessions for our campus community to learn and to engage on critical institutional matters, and broadening the scope and role of faculty in the process to recruit and hire our next provost. All of these joint efforts have been significant steps to help us reimagine the shared governance on this campus. To my esteemed faculty colleagues, I encourage us to reflect a bit on our organizational history. UNC Asheville's first chancellor, Dr. William Highsmith, in his book chronicling the first 60 years of this institution, wrote of faculty distrust and strife with the administration during the late 1970s. In 1978, the university recruited Dr. Lawrence Dorr as provost. A former Jesuit priest with years of experience negotiating with teacher unions, the new provost at that time is said to have brought a renewed spirit of truth-telling, listening, and compassion. As chronicled in Dr. Highsmith's book, Provost Dorr developed consultative systems and space for our predecessors to have a voice in the work of our university. Today, in the spirit of those before us who trusted Provost Dorr to lead, let us believe in Chancellor Cable, that she is the courageous leader to elevate us and our university today, tomorrow, and the years ahead. Chancellor Cable, in our shared work to advance UNC Asheville as the premier public liberal arts university, we will look to your wise and empathetic leadership. We are in this together, and we are indeed extremely grateful to have you at the helm. Thank you.
Good afternoon. On behalf of the UNC Asheville Alumni Board of Directors, I extend greetings and well wishes to everyone in attendance today to celebrate the installation of our new Chancellor, Nancy Cable. Additionally, I extend special greetings to the UNC Board of Trustees, my class of 2000 Chancellor, Jim Mullen, and our most recent Chancellor, Mary Grant, who traveled from Boston to see us. Chancellor Ann Ponder, Chancellor David Brown, Nancy Schumann, wife of Samuel Schumann, and John Highsmith, son of Chancellor William Highsmith. A few brief words about our alumni. The UNC alumni comprises over 19,000 alumni who reside across America, representing 50 states. Our Alumni Board of Directors is representative of our alumni bringing diverse experiences and a commonality, a liberal arts education at UNC Asheville. Our goal is to provide engagement opportunities for the alumni, support students, faculty, and continuing to make a difference at UNC Asheville and make a very special, nurturing, and learning environment. We encourage all of our alumni, all who support UNC Asheville, to be philanthropic and value diversity and inclusion and equity as we move forward into the future. We have a responsibility to share and give back to our institution. Chancellor Cable, on behalf of the UNC Asheville Alumni Association, we offer our support and our commitment to you as a sounding board, a cheerleader, and a friend. We share your vision for continuing to make UNC Asheville a leading liberal arts college for us to move forward for. Congratulations, Chancellor Cable, and best wishes.
Good afternoon. On behalf of the staff at UNC Asheville, I would like to officially welcome Chancellor Nancy J. Cable to the university, to the city of Asheville, and back to North Carolina. I'm honored to do so on this special day. Of course, I was not supposed to be here. By that, I mean my life, as originally envisioned, was going to be far different than the one I currently live, in a place far different than the one I inhabit, doing work that is far different than working at UNC Asheville. I ask each of you to take a second and think back to a moment, whether big or small, whether 5 or 50 years ago, that changed the trajectory of your life, that perhaps has brought you to this place on this day, listening to someone who was not supposed to be here. We have all faced unexpected challenges in our lives, some more difficult than others. We've all gone left when we thought we were going right, sometimes of our own decision and sometimes not. But while the impetus for those changes may be different for each of us, what is the same for us all is that we have persevered. We have taken on those challenges, we have learned from them, and we have grown as individuals who now comprise the UNC Asheville community we celebrate today. The stories of how we became a part of UNC Asheville are all unique. The work we do to further its mission is also unique. We beautify the campus, we process paperwork and crunch numbers, we make policy decisions that affect few and many, we keep watch over students, listen when they need to talk, and talk when they need to listen. We build community partnerships and websites and relationships with donors. We fix your computer glitch and repair your broken air. We plan events, both big and small, and we make sure the Bulldogs have a great game. We do this work to prepare our students for the unexpected. That is the nature of liberal arts and sciences education, to give students the intellectual dexterity to encounter ideas they have never encountered, to learn how to learn so they are prepared for a society that changes faster than they can, to know that when the unexpected comes their way, when their path changes and takes them to places they weren't supposed to go, they are able to draw on their experience, knowledge, and self-sufficiency to thrive. Chancellor Cable, you have already faced many unexpected challenges in your short time here, and I have no doubt you have learned something from each of them. We've been encouraged by the gifts you've illustrated during that time, your leadership, your grace, your willingness to listen to all, your generosity, your determination, and your perseverance, among many others. But perhaps none has been more impressive than your ability to handle the unexpected and see it not as a roadblock to progress, but as an opportunity for the university community to have transformative experiences that result in a stronger, healthier institution. While we celebrate the installation of Chancellor Cable as UNC Asheville's 8th Chancellor, so too do we celebrate this great university and all it has to offer to its students, to those who work here, and to the various communities it inhabits, from the city of Asheville to the world. We celebrate all we have overcome to reach this point, and we cherish all we have accomplished because of those learning experiences. Go back far enough and you realize this day, this moment was unexpected. The countless choices that had to be made to bring each of us together on this day could never have been foreseen. And so we embark on a similar path, not knowing what the next day or month or year will bring, only knowing that we will do it together, each with our stories, each with our gifts, each with our passion for higher education, and not only teaching students to expect the unexpected, but also leading by example. No, I was not supposed to be here, and maybe neither were you, and yet here we are, together. Let's embrace the unexpected. For in the unexpected lies the wonder of discovery, the discovery of truth, and the truth that learning is the greatest opportunity we can give to ourselves and to each other. Chancellor Cable, the staff of UNC Asheville is thrilled to be able to work with you to take advantage of the opportunities that you bring to us and that we bring to you. Now, let's go to work. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael, Dr. Michael, Kenya, and Brian, very much. I now welcome Dr. Arnold Wingrove, Professor Emeritus of Drama and former chair of the UNC Asheville Retired Faculty and Administration Association, who will highlight for us some of the history, legacy, and the mission of UNC Asheville. Please come forward, sir.
Chancellor Cable, my remarks today are entitled, "The First 100 Years Are the Hardest." You might say the first 100 days were the hardest. On July 1st, 1969, Asheville Biltmore College, a scrappy little city and county-supported school on an almost bare hilltop in North Asheville, became one of only 6 institutions to gain the distinguished name, the University of North Carolina. How a 2-year junior college, begun in 1927 by the Buncombe County Schools, aspired to become part of the first public institution of higher learning in the United States to open its doors is a story of diligence, dedication, and sheer doggedness by this community's leaders and its educational visionaries. And here's what makes that dedication and doggedness even more remarkable. These leaders had an audacious vision for their new little university. Unlike its sister schools in Chapel Hill, Greensboro, Raleigh, Wilmington, and Charlotte, the University of North Carolina at Asheville was to have a distinctive, even unique role in public higher education. We were to be North Carolina's only public liberal arts university. What did that mean? A public liberal arts university. Some said we were to be like Davidson, only affordable and state-supported. Some referred to us as the little Harvard on the Hill, and they were not intending to be flattering. Our first chancellor, William Highsmith, saw our liberal arts mission this way. One of its chief goals for its students, Dr. Highsmith said, was to understand the structure, motivations, and ideas of society. One of its basic functions was to be oriented to the environment, to the physical and social world, and to the spiritual realm. Our students were to gain a foundation for leadership through knowledge of languages and literatures, science, mathematics, history, philosophy. Our students were to become acquainted with our heritage, the workings of our society, the role of the sciences and the scientific method in modern life. They should emerge with an understanding of the world and a firm philosophy of life, without which, Dr. Highsmith said, they would be like a rudderless ship on a stormy sea. Understanding society, understanding literatures and language, understanding mathematics, science, the scientific method, understanding history, philosophy, understanding the world, understanding humankind, understanding themselves, future leaders. These were inspiring words, and they inspired the small group of faculty and administrators and staff who gathered here with the express purpose of creating something new and different in these mountains. They gathered here, as I like to think of them, as pioneers. There were more inspiring words in our founding statement of aims and objectives, written by our first Vice Chancellor for Academic Affairs, Roy A. Riggs. UNC Asheville was to be academically rigorous. It was to be both traditionally sound and boldly experimental. Our curriculum would stress the importance of historical perspective, the interrelationships among the broad fields of knowledge. No silos here, Nancy. Our students would be asked to assume a high degree of personal responsibility for their own learning. They would be encouraged to confront difficult intellectual challenges, to think critically, to develop a system of ethical and moral values worthy of free people. The ultimate objective, Dr. Riggs said, was to give our students the knowledge and understanding which will best equip them to pursue successfully their individual goals, to function effectively and constructively in society, and to find meaning in their personal lives. Traditionally sound, boldly experimental. It's actually been a very long time since we've heard those words, boldly experimental. These were the words that guided our pioneers, students, staff, faculty alike, as we went about the challenging, mostly mundane, sometimes grueling daily tasks of teaching, learning, studying, planting, constructing, maintaining, negotiating, and just paying the bills. When I came here in 1970, 1 year after we became the University of North Carolina at Asheville, there were only 4 buildings on the quadrangle where we were supposed to be today. There were only a few trees, and they were mostly saplings. When you're on the quadrangle again, notice how far we've come. When I first started teaching here, there were only 988 students. 988. My high school graduation class was almost that big. Most of them were from Western North Carolina. Less than 1% were from out of state. Only 5 students were from a foreign country. Only 241 students lived on campus. After the humanities lecture let out at 12:15, this campus became a pretty lonely place. But we persevered. We built community among ourselves. We built connections to Asheville, to Western North Carolina, and the state. Nancy, we put flanges on our wheels. And some of us even envisioned building a national presence. Now we have a student body of more than 3,800 students from 37 states, 28 countries. Close to 40% live on campus or near. This campus is a lively, not a lonely place. In 1977, we marked our 50th anniversary by planting one of the dawn redwoods I hope you'll notice the next time you're on the quadrangle. What an appropriate choice. A symbol of conservation, a tree known to have lived 50 million years, a living fossil. Take a close look at it and notice that it was a gift from the first graduating class of 1929. It was at that time that I started saying about our pioneering spirit, the first 100 years are the hardest. Chancellor Cable, you have in your sights the year 2027, that 100th anniversary that I somewhat flippantly referred to 42 years ago. So it is with great optimism and admiration that I welcome you to, as our 8th Chancellor, give or take 5 interims. I welcome you on behalf of our retired faculty, administrators, and staff, and in honor and memory of those pioneers. I was fortunate enough to meet many of them. I hope we can tell their stories someday. I know you honor their pioneering spirit. I believe you will renew that sense of adventure that we had about building a great public liberal arts university. I look forward to seeing where you will take us as the University of North Carolina at Asheville heads into our second 100 years.
Thank you, Dr. Ringo, very much. We learned earlier this afternoon, probably an hour and a half maybe or more ago, that our installation speaker, Dr. John DeGioia, president of Georgetown University, was not going to be able to be with us. It's unfortunate because he Dr. Cable sincerely wanted him to be here. And so we discussed what to do with that. Dr. Cable asked if I would deliver his message, and I'm prepared to do so. However, Chancellor Cable, I think I'm going to exercise the prerogative of the chair. And with that, I'm going to say just a few words and sit down, because this day is about celebrating this moment in the institution's life and history. We're going to have a wonderful installation by Dr. Roper. We're going to recognize Dr. Cable, and we're going to allow you to hear from her, which I think is vastly more precious than hearing from me. So with that, fellow trustees, I'm going to exercise the prerogative of the chair one more time before my term is up. You know, I would say to you that it's one thing to be a chair of a board and work with the chancellor in the model of shared governance, which Dr. Stratton has helped demonstrate with us and for us how that best works. It's another to become her friend and her colleague, to take her call of minor distress in the middle of the night of, I don't know, about dormitories being not able to open, or speakers or former speakers. But it's quite another to get to know her personally and welcome her into the life of the Briggs family. It is a great privilege to get to know her on that personal level, as I have Chancellor Ponder and Chancellor Grant before her. So it is that I'm personally thankful, and my family is very proud, Chancellor Cable, that you'll be the next great leader of this institution, of which, again, our child is an alum. So with that, we're going to move forward in the program and dispense with the reading. Perhaps we can put the message up on the website, because I think it's worthy of reading the message. So with that, if you will allow me, I think we move forward, Dr. Roper, for the sake of time, with alacrity and dispatch, please.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. For more than 200 years, the state of North Carolina has recognized the importance of higher education in improving the lives and well-being of our citizens. Over that long history, the University of North Carolina system has achieved national prominence for the quality of its programs and for the loyalty that binds the people of this state to their public university. As you've heard, in 1927, the institution that would become UNC Asheville was founded as part of the Buncombe County Public School System to serve the higher education needs of Asheville and the surrounding area. In the intervening years, UNC Asheville has evolved and grown to serve the entire state of North Carolina as its designated liberal arts university. In spite of that statewide mission, UNC Asheville has never lost touch with its roots in Asheville and Western North Carolina, where the university was once dubbed the College in the Sky. We gather today to install the 8th Chancellor of this institution. Today's ceremony represents a symbolic compact between you, the faculty, staff, students, alumni, trustees, and friends, with your new Chancellor. I have high expectations for UNC Asheville under Chancellor Cable's leadership, but particularly in these challenging and complex times, she needs and deserves your full support. In just a few moments, the Honorable Calvin Hill, Chief District Court Judge of the 28th Judicial District of North Carolina, will administer the oath of office. As she takes that oath, Chancellor Cable will place her hand on the Bible brought to the podium by her daughter, Gretchen Cable Wells. Following the oath, Chancellor Cable will receive the Chancellor's Medallion brought to the podium by her brother, Davis Cable, which symbolizes her authority as the leader of this institution. Through these traditions, we mark the continuation of leadership and vision that has enabled UNC Asheville to achieve so much in its 91-year history. Chancellor Cable, would you please join me at the podium? And I also ask Judge Hill and Gretchen and Davis to join us as well. Chancellor Cable, you will have the great privilege and responsibility of leading this university in the years ahead. As you take the oath of office, I urge you to use your position and authority to help UNC Asheville grow and develop in a manner that befits this region and this state.
Chancellor Cable is coming to this job with exactly the right attitude. She has already begun to make executive decisions. One having to do with how this oath would be done. She's doing that with my full support, and so that's just how it works. Okay. Place your left hand on the Bible, raise your right, and you'll repeat after me. I, state your name,
Nancy J. Cable,
do solemnly swear
that
I will support the Constitution
I will support the Constitution
of the United States.
of the United States.
I do solemnly and sincerely swear
I do solemnly and sincerely swear
that I will be faithful
that I will be faithful
and bear true allegiance
and bear true allegiance
to the state of North Carolina
to the state of North Carolina
and to the constitutional powers and authorities
and to the constitutional powers and authorities
which are or may be established for the government thereof. I will endeavor to support, maintain, and defend the Constitution of said state, not inconsistent with the Constitution of the United States, and in entering upon the responsibilities of the office of Chancellor of the University of North Carolina at Asheville. I will undertake to fulfill my duties to the best of my skill and abilities, and without fear or favor, to cherish and encourage sound scholarship and the search for truth, and to dedicate the powers of the University of North Carolina at Asheville to the intellectual, moral, and physical education of our youth, and to the development of a moral and enlightened citizenship. I further promise to dedicate this university to impartial and sympathetic service to all the people of North Carolina. I swear that I will well and truly execute duties of the office of Chancellor of the University of North Carolina at Asheville to the best of my skill and ability and according to the law. So help me God. Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
You did a great job.
Thank you.
Back together. Put it on later if you need to. Like this?
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Friends of the university, it is now my great pleasure and distinct honor to present to you the 8th Chancellor of the University of North Carolina, Asheville, Nancy J. Cable.
What a humbling experience. And I am deeply, deeply grateful to all of you for being here today and to celebrate this extraordinary university. So let me begin by saying, Dr. Roper, members of the Board of Governors, local officials, my former chancellors on whose shoulders I stand every single day, Chief Sneed of the Eastern Band, Judge Hill, Mayor Mannheimer, elected officials, delegates from other colleges and universities, Chairman Briggs and the University of North Carolina Asheville trustees, faculty, staff, and our students, my family and friends. Good afternoon and welcome. First and foremost, heartfelt gratitude is in order for all of my UNC Asheville colleagues whose work and dedication have made this celebration not only possible, but extraordinary. I salute our physical plant staff, our grounds crew, our food service colleagues, our faculty, our senior staff and students, our campus police, our chancellors and events office staff, and of course, our University of North Carolina Asheville trustees. For all of your tireless and dedicated effort this week for this university and for this regional community in which we find all of ourselves gathered in common purpose. This is a joyful day indeed, as you might suspect, and I am deeply grateful for your presence here. When the notion of an installation first arose last fall, I thought it a much better idea to have national thought leaders here in conversation with our faculty, students, and staff about pressing issues of our time, and then just skip the whole ceremonial business. But I quickly learned the limits of a chancellor's authority, in addition to not being able to swim. It is my privilege to share with you as leaders from near and far and together with our faculty, staff, and students, this extraordinary and unique university. Today especially, I invite us to consider together the current forces in play across higher education and to enthusiastically recommit our embrace of the University of North Carolina Asheville's distinctive mission and purpose as the UNC System's Liberal Arts and Sciences University. Today, the title of my remarks to you are Keeper of the Light. Those of us lucky enough to live in the great state of North Carolina are likely to have developed a fondness for our beloved lighthouses, especially for me, Cape Hatteras, Currituck, and Old Baldy on Bald Head Island. I have cherished my times on the North Carolina coast and have been enchanted by the simplicity and the complexity of the lighthouses, built to keep the light burning in uncertain times, to bring ships both big and small out of the storm, to add a human touch to the guiding of light. And despite their simplicity and straightforward appearance, these structures belie the complex task that their keepers are called to perform. Much like the work of a university, keepers of the light must keep the light burning brightly, for a dim light only confuses the approaching ship. Keepers must weather the storm and watch for disruptions, all the while staying true to their mission to guide and support. Keepers must be ever steadfast to the truth and the facts. A lighthouse must be a thing of majesty, of real beauty, despite its constant need for paint, good roof, and ongoing repairs. Most of all, keepers must be ever mindful that rough seas will give way to calm waters, and then again to rough seas again. So is the way of nature's power. I firmly believe that we at UNC Asheville are keepers of the light in higher education for this state, the region, the nation, and we are keeping the light bright during these complicated and challenging times mentioned by several of my colleagues here today. When I began my career several decades ago, I was often asked, "What do you want to be when you grow up?" After all, that was the question of the day, right? What vocation, what job title did we aspire to? Now, since over half of the jobs our graduates will fill in their lifetime have yet to be created, perhaps the new question we should be asking young folks and our adult students is, which of the world's problems are you most interested in solving? A much better, more relevant question today. During these last 42 years in higher education, especially these last 2 decades, there has been increased complexities and new pressures, especially on liberal arts and sciences colleges and universities, that are dedicated to what Ernest Boyer said and wrote in his 1987 book, The Undergraduate Experience. Our role is, quote, to educate more competent, more concerned, and more complete human beings. The landscape of higher education, or shall I say the seas around us, has changed dramatically in these years. Now, we face a crowded, highly diverse, and ever more connected world where colleges and universities must reflect relevance and resonance with the complicated world at large. It is now a world where we often know more about global issues all the way around the world than we know about our local and state news and affairs. Marshall McLuhan's concept of the global village, once assumed to be a long-distance possibility, is now upon us in full display. A compelling summary of the rough seas in which we find ourselves these days appears in Terence McTaggart's recent publication called The 21st Century University Presidency, A Call to Enterprise Leadership. He frames today's realities for higher education leaders as follows, and I quote, "The current environment for a college or university president is more dynamic, challenging, and threatening, yet full of potential than any time over the past 50 years. Perennial challenges, scarcity of resources, partisan conflict, student activism have intensified. But new challenges, the influences of social media, the advent of more disruptive technologies, all contribute to the current drama." End of quote. Rough seas around us? Yes, indeed. Here are additional challenges that I think we all face together, and I would humbly add them to McTaggart's list. First, the public's confidence in higher education has eroded significantly. For well over 200 years in this nation, a college degree has increased one's lifelong income and has provided more opportunities for good works in one's life. But now, for some millennials and Generation Z and for their families, faith in higher education has been shaken by high costs and higher student debt. Second, our business models are being challenged by questions of declining state support, though we also benefit here in North Carolina from great fiscal prudence and good attention from our state government. And yet, in those times of shrinking resources in general higher education, there's an ongoing demand to sustain high quality and ever more customized academic programs for our students. This is very labor-intensive work to educate and shape the minds and hearts of tomorrow's leaders. We find cost pressures on our labor-intensive work every day. As a result, those of us in high-quality universities have become dependent more and more on donor philanthropy to sustain our quality, our edge, our access, and our commitment to our students. Third, the resurgence of student activism has fueled millennial and post-millennial students who are now very adept at using and even sometimes exploiting social media to galvanize action to address justice issues such as inequality, racism, sexual misconduct, and to confront some of the social issues before all of us, the needs for affordable housing, the elimination of the achievement gap in our schools, among many others. Fourth, our political divides present our students profound schisms in the American society, confounding their existing hopes in the role of our democracy and their role in it. Fifth, despite our strength as lighthouses of learning, the last 2 decades of change on most campuses has and can create instability. Campus quality and momentum now depends on stable, shared governance that can sustain the planning at hand and the institutional-wide priorities and momentum. Without ongoing shared governance, stagnation and malaise can develop among campus constituencies. It can be both unproductive and time-consuming. Finally, last and perhaps most disruptive is the current and coming technological revolution that invites and even demands a change in the curriculum, what we teach, and our pedagogy, how we teach it, and even questioning the definition of what it means in today's world to be an educated person and global citizen. Here are some thoughts from McTaggart again on the topic of technology, and I quote, "Access to the internet has exploded through the advent of laptops and tablets and smartphones and other mobile devices as ubiquitous as a wristwatch. These innovations have spurred change, sometimes positive, sometimes violent, with unpredictable outcomes that range from disruptions at American universities to national uprisings like the Arab Spring. In all likelihood, higher education is in for further shocks: artificial intelligence, virtual reality, cognitive mapping, and the analysis of big data separate from the ethics involved. These will transform how students learn. The tools of virtual reality, for example, are already beginning to transform medical education, engineering, and even art. Disciplines once thought to be available only through in-person learning in a classroom. These elements of change and challenge in our rough seas are upon us, but I suggest that we can be, in fact, we must be, keepers of the light, that we can choose to see times that hold tremendous and inspiring opportunities for us as an academic institution within the strength and respect of the UNC system. We at UNC Asheville are uniquely positioned to shine a light by our truly exceptional faculty as teachers and researchers going outward from this community, this campus, and across the globe, to celebrate our dedicated staff who every day work long and hard with great skill, and to face the challenges we need to face through continuous strength and improvement as an institution. To overuse my metaphor for a minute, I truly and firmly believe that in this period of wind and rough seas, it will allow us to stand stronger and more resolute in our mission to provide a relevant 21st century liberal arts and sciences education, which is now more needed than ever before, given the rate of change in the world in which we live. So what do I mean by this notion of liberal arts and sciences? I actually had a parent recently ask me, do you also teach the conservative arts and sciences? I did my best. Why can we claim such an essential academic purpose? Here are some ideas. Again, hearkening back to Ernest Boyer's writing, he gave a good rationale for our kind of distinctive mission. And I quote, "The liberal arts and sciences promote a program of study that introduces students not only to essential knowledge, but to the connections across disciplines and to the universal experiences that are common to all people. Without this understanding, human relationships are diminished, and the quality of life for all is reduced. Is it too much to expect," Boyer asks, "that in this hyper-competitive, global, market-driven age, that a college graduate can live and bring forward to the world integrity, civility, and even compassion?" Here at UNC Asheville, we believe that that question is not too much to ask. It is what we do because of the quality of our faculty and our students. Our democracy depends fundamentally at its root on a coherent understanding from and among our graduates to understand the competing priorities inherent in our most intractable problems as a globe. Here we strive every day in ways big and small to imbue in our students, our graduates, and in continuing support for our alumni, the will, the knowledge, and the ways of learning that allow them to contribute to society and to succeed. In short, we strive to educate graduates who, frankly, have a better set of questions than all of the answers. As Dr. Frunnis Johnson, a longtime academic dean at Davidson College, was fond of saying, quote, "A liberal arts education does not teach you to do something. In fact, it teaches you to do anything." Our UNC Asheville history provides a useful lens on this concept. Dr. Rengrow quoted from exactly what I also had in my speech from Dr. Roy Riggs, whose son Greg is here and has represented Oxford University today. Our ability to be the designated and desirable liberal arts and sciences college of the UNC system came primarily because we stood for two things: sound academic intellectual work and boldly experimental work, which we are really good at doing. Even after my short 9 months, I could offer you literally hundreds of examples of the work of our faculty and our students and this community at large. But here are a few ways that I think we are living up to those words written in 1963 about what we do here and what we care about. So again, amongst the hundreds of examples, here are a few I want to mention. First and foremost, our core curricular tradition is and will remain the humanities. It is at the center of all that we do academically, and we are deeply committed to the humane lives of leadership and service that happen for our graduates after they have experienced our humanities program. Second, we have proof positive from a number, literally scores, of leading foundations and philanthropic partners who affirm the work that our faculty and our students are doing. Let me give you 3 examples. Just in the last 2 years, we have received grants from Robert Wood Johnson for our health and wellness programs, from GlaxoSmithKline for our work in chemistry and the diversity that's needed in the pipeline in sciences, and also one from the Mellon Foundation that supports continuing innovation in our already strong humanities program. Number 3, 2 of our faculty have been honored recently with Fulbright Awards. One went to study educational methods in Ghana, and another will go to Cape Coast to study Africana Studies in the year ahead. Further, we have 2 students who will graduate this year. I will be honored to provide their diplomas to them. These 2 Fulbright students, one will go to Poland and the other to Vietnam, to engage and carry on not just the undergraduate work they did here, but the research that they were able to do with our exceedingly talented faculty. Most universities and I've been on a few campuses in my years, would long to even have one Fulbright in a graduating class, and we have 2 in this year alone. Number 4, our partnerships with our key local and regional stakeholders are many and range from the city and county schools to the Martin Luther King Jr. Association, to our relationship, a close one, with AB Tech, where AB Tech students who come into UNCA are among our best, to our widely appreciated tutoring efforts in schools such as the Marvelous Math Club, to the scores of our students who volunteer hours and hours each week in this community and in this region at large. Vital is our relationship with Episcopal Legal Services, with Black Mountain Art Museum, Center for Craft and Design, and I could go on. Our community partners are real partners here. Number 5, our athletes are achievers in the classroom. They're among the strongest GPAs on campus. They win national championships too. Most recently, our men's tennis won the national championship, and in the recent several years, both women's and men's basketball has won in good form, fine form. We are current, and yet we also learn from the past. One of our faculty recently coordinated a week of awareness and activities to celebrate the importance of the 65th anniversary of Brown versus the Topeka Board of Education. This faculty brought us speakers, seminars, a keynote, discussions, some of the hard conversations, but all important. That is a liberal arts education in action. Number 7, our faculty are scholars, and once again, almost to a person, I could tell you about the research going on among our faculty, but let me pick 2 examples that are particularly global. One faculty member from our philosophy department will present a paper this summer in South America on the philosophical legal issues of change and progress in South American law. Another from our history department will be an expert witness in India on a case that relates to Indian religious and cultural traditions. It would literally take hours to brief you on the extent, the breadth, and the depth of the research of our faculty. Number 8, we are a proud, close-knit educational partner with the Eastern Band of Cherokee. We teach the language. We strive to educate our students about the essential importance of studying indigenous cultures with respect and reverence for tradition as a way of understanding all of the human condition. Number 9, when we address the controversial issues of our most recent Martin Luther King Jr. Day speaker, for whom we stood strong in the opportunity for free speech on this campus, we also worked very closely with the Center for Jewish Studies leadership that helped us to lead community conversations across this entire city and county that expanded the learning opportunities for all of us. Number 10, our students are in demand from many, many corners of society. Our pre-med students, thanks to the hard work of our faculty and staff, our pre-med students are routinely admitted to their very first choice. Many of our graduates enter Teach for America programs and scatter themselves across this great nation. Our science and engineering students, who have sometimes had internships and research opportunities beginning as early as the sophomore year, find that they are in great demand at the point of graduation. 11, our partnership in the healthcare of this region is decades long and strong. We partner with the Mountain Area Healthcare Educational Cooperative, leader MAHEC, in both pharmacy studies, public health, and our faculty provide the significant intellectual capital in scientific research that the MAHEC director recently said to me is, quote, vital and essential to the quality of healthcare in this region. Number 12, I'm particularly proud of this one. Our students and our student leaders, this year led by Michael Davis, are truly exceptional. One terrific story, I think, describes it all. When Hurricane Florence hit our eastern North Carolina neighbors, only Western Carolina University and UNC Asheville stayed open and operational. At the insistence and leadership of our students and our SGA, We took in between 250 and 300 students from UNCW and UNC Pembroke who were flooded out for 2.5 weeks. Those visiting students bunked in with our students. They were welcomed in the dining hall. And as surprising as it may be to all of you, our faculty, true to form, indicated that they would welcome students in their classrooms while they were supposedly on a 2.5-week break. What is even more surprising is that a number of those students accompanied our students to those classes and continued the intellectual work and the use of our library and our learning facilities. Just think about the service that we provided in our own small way to the state and to what was going on in the pain and suffering of others on the eastern side of the state. I could go on, but these are a few of the examples that relate directly to our distinctive academic mission. Here's what we intend to deliver. We produce thinking minds. We produce not just a workforce-ready graduate, which is true for many, if not all, of our graduates, but we produce a whole cadre of working thought force leaders ready to learn anything that they find beyond the halls of this institution. Our alumni are proof positive of the evidence of that claim. Number two, we ensure that to the best of our ability, every student here has the opportunity to lead, to develop the emotional intelligence to work in collaboration with others like and unlike themselves. We honor not just the vitality and talent that emerges from close, dedicated attention to diversity and inclusion, but we boldly seek to find new levels of equity that will address the structural inequities of our full society, in addition to any inequities that exist on this campus. We believe that will move us all forward in the common good. Number four, we have a deepening commitment to shared governance. We are beginning to know and understand that both expertise and common interests bind us together to do our best. After all, this university will be here long after we have all moved on. Number five, we honor and remain dedicated to our sense of this place here in these stunning mountains and to all aspects of the partnerships in nonprofit, art, corporate, educational, and healthcare partners in the region. We remain committed to shining our light on what we expect of our students as they become agents of their own lives. Critical thinking, collaborative problem solving, creativity, a love of the arts and music, capability in complex information processing with a keen eye to the ethical questions that underlie all data, and finally, an abiding sense of resilience in their own lives. These are what we strive to do every single day. And these characteristics were written about in a recent book by my brilliant and beloved mentor, John Kirkendall, who is with us here on the platform. He wrote, with several of his learned colleagues, a small but mighty text called, quote, "The Lighting of the Mind for Action, a Call to Trustees and Leaders of America's Liberal Arts Colleges." He summarized what I just described to you as the facets of an educated person through the liberal arts and sciences. Civitas, gravitas, prudentia, humility, curiosity, cultured insight, offered all in an environment ready to forgive a mistake or a misstep in the name of learning. That is what we do here, and it is what we strive to do despite these rough seas. In summary, I share two final thoughts that may be takeaways for you today, given our time together in celebration of the university. Just 6 months ago, Scott Hurley, a billionaire scion of the Silicon Valley tech world, published a book called The Fuzzy and the Techie. After years of hiring only high-tech, seasoned, trained experts, he has declared in this text that from this point forward, he will hire only broadly, liberally educated graduates into his many corporations. He states that claim in these words, and I quote, "The great irony of any criticism of the liberal arts is that it's the liberal arts and sciences and their cultivation of distinctly human abilities that machines cannot even begin to approximate, that are paving the way for the most reliable employment today that is sure to continue in the coming years and decades. I believe that a strong liberal arts and sciences education is going to be ever more valuable in the decades ahead. Success will be determined by one's ability to deal with what one cannot turn into a logarithm, and how one deals with unstructured problems and new situations. This will be the mark of an educated and useful professional, and I want as many as I can get." Finally, my colleague and friend Michael Roth, who is currently the president of Wesleyan University in Connecticut, finished a book 3 years ago entitled Why Liberal Education Matters. I thought quoting him would be a good way to end these remarks and help with our celebration of what we do. Roth writes, "The mission of liberal learning in higher education should be to teach students to liberate, animate, cooperate, and instigate. Through student doubt, imagination, and hard work, they come to understand that they can reshape themselves and their societies. Liberal education matters. Its relevance is not just about landing one's first job. It emerges over the course of a lifetime. The free inquiry of a reflective and pragmatic education prompts us to think for ourselves, take responsibility for our own beliefs and hopes. Liberal education matters far beyond the university because it increases our capacity to understand the world, to contribute to it, to reshape ourselves. When it works, it never ends." End of quote. UNC Asheville's service as the keeper of the light and as the lighthouse for this region and state is 92 years young. The years ahead of us, despite these challenging times, call for us to be even stronger and more dedicated than we are today. We can, and we will, stand tall in the loyalty to our distinctive academic mission, our academic standards, and we'll go forward with boldly experimental work in these rough seas times. As one of the authentic gems in the UNC system, our beam of light is shining brightly and strong. Our work as the keeper of the light every day is a true privilege. Thank you so much for joining us today for this celebration. It is the honor of my lifetime to serve as your chancellor. Thank you.
Wow. Congratulations, Dr. Cable. You inspire us all. I'd now like to welcome Dr. John Kuykendall, President Emeritus of Davidson College, to the podium for the benediction. Dr. Cable claims him as a mentor, and we've all had those in our lives. In just a few minutes I've chatted with him. I hope there's opportunity for you to mentor me a little bit too, Dr. Kuykendall. Please come forward.
Let me claim just one moment of personal privilege, Chancellor, since you quoted from me from this podium and you quoted 3 Latin words in that brief quotation. I just want to say that my Latin teacher mother would be both amazed and amused that that happened. But speaking of words, if we take one more word and pull it apart, that word benediction, one viable translation of that might be good words. And indeed, there have been good words aplenty in this room this afternoon. Good words to you, Nancy, words of affirmation, words of acceptance, words of encouragement, words of support, words of commitment. All kinds of words have been said to you this day. I think if we had sticky notes to write them on and put them onto your gown this evening, it would be all yellow and you couldn't even see the blue and the gold. But those are words to live by, and words which have been brought to you and which will be called to mind throughout your long and successful tenure. Now then, another way of translating that word benediction is blessing. And that is my obligation today. And as I've thought about it, I wondered who needs to be blessed. Certainly the new chancellor here and her colleagues in this institution, and the institution itself, which is always more than the sum of its parts, and the community it serves right here around it, and those larger communities in concentric circles that reach out to the end of the world. All those things need to be blessed, as do all the people in this room, whatever your commitment may be. And so now, receive the blessing. The Lord bless you and keep you. The Lord lift up his face upon you and be gracious unto you. The Lord lift up the light of his countenance upon you and give you peace, now and forevermore. Amen.
Thank you, Dr. Kuykendall. This concludes today's ceremony, and on behalf of the UNC Asheville Board of Trustees, my colleagues, I thank you all so much for being with us today on this truly momentous occasion. I'd like to take one more second and ask you to recognize the beautiful music that's been shared with us by our faculty and staff, students. We'd ask you to join us for a reception in the RB Scholarship Deck today here in the Wilma Sherrill Center. Have I got that right, Shannon? Thank you. As we celebrate and continue to celebrate the life of this great institution. Thank you all very much for being here.
Sky. you.